Hey, John. So, today we looked at ways of changing the G scale, which, if we think of the G scale itself, like his G itself is actually the note on the 5th fret. So that's G, A, B, C, D, right? B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. E, D, E, F sharp, G. Kind of weird saying it backwards. G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. That's basically, if I'm in key of G, then I've always got that one sharp. F has to get sharped or raised, you know? So that's like sol, la, te, do, re, mi, fa, sol. Right? So that's what's happening in that. So it's kind of interesting that here is the root, the G. Right? And like I said, the coolest transformation you can do to this scale, not that there's not a lot of cool transformations, but this one's really neat, is when you raise the C. So if I raise the 10th fret to the 11th fret, so I throw in C sharp, so now I got two sharps. D, E, F is sharped, G, A, B, C sharp. And that note is almost like magical in how it transforms that scale and makes it sound very moving. I like, it's a nice, it was that 2nd fret that you were using. It's kind of like barring right across the 2nd fret on the 3rd, 2nd, and 1st string. So it's kind of like, that's a weird one. That's like a G with an A chord stuck on top of it. I like doing something like this. So what I'm doing here is I got the 7th fret on the 4th string. I've got the 6th fret on the 3rd string. And I'm using these two fingers here and leaving the two outside fingers so that I can do things around it. Doing there is every now and then I'll add in, say, the 7th fret on the 2nd string or the 5th fret on the 2nd string. So to me, that sounds kind of like a moving chord, right? Really has a lot of motion going on there. Say I went to my flamenco chord there, where I was doing the 1st fret on the 4th string and 1st fret on the 2nd string. That's an interesting chord to follow that up with. Yeah, there's like even more movement now. And then I hit the open G, and it's all calm as can be. Everything just settled and subsided. I'll do that so you can see that better. So 7th fret and the 6th fret on 4th and 3rd strings. There's this chord with its 1st fret on the 4th string and 1st fret tucked in here on the 2nd string. Everything else is open. And finally to all open. Alright, you can hear how that scale nicely, right? So that's a D scale that I'm playing. D has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. And it has a G chord in it, but that G chord is the 4th chord, D, E, F, G. So, and that's what makes it a Lydian chord. It's a major chord, but it doesn't act like a 1 chord. You know, it acts like a moving major chord, and that's that Lydian sound. And it's a really neat sound. They use it a lot in movie soundtracks. If there's something very interesting going on in the movie, guaranteed Lydian. Right, so cool sound. So eventually you'll actually recognize it when you hear it. Then the other way to transform that we were looking at on the G scale was to get rid of all the sharps. So I'd go back to the 10th fret, C natural, D, C, B, A, G. I'm going to get rid of this F sharp that was sitting on the 4th fret. I'm going to use 3rd fret, F natural, and then E, D. So I'm using D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Just going from open to 12th fret and just using the notes that I'll use. So when I have no sharps, no adjustments at all, everything's a natural name note, it's a G, excuse me, that's a C scale. But we're still thinking in G, but we're gonna, what's created now is what's called the Mixolydian. Okay, and it just means that in the C scale, there's a G chord, but it's 5 letters away. So we got C, D, E, F, G. So the 5 chord. So now the G is acting like a 5 chord to the key of C, and that becomes what basically is a dominant 7th chord. And that has motion of sorts. It has kind of like an unrest sound. And here would be a C chord. Right? So that kind of like resolved it a little bit, right? I guess what I'd really want to do is get a nice C chord that's, straight out. Let me see what would be a good one. Nope. Geez, I want a good C chord here. Right. So I resolved to C, but the G7, is kind of like it's, and like I was saying, jazz guys use this a lot. So if I use any Fs, so I can get some really cool. like a Mixolydian lick right there. So, anyways, so that's some of the things we can do for transforming the G scale into other scales. It would just changing one note or two. So in this case, if I got rid of the 4th fret and used 3rd fret instead. Right. And that was when we were doing the blues, we were doing a lot of 3rd fret. Right? So that was kind of part of that. That was a good reason for that. We were also throwing in B flat, so it was creating more of a blues scale. Whereas the jazz guys would have kept with the B. Right. So, yeah, so that's a little more food for thought, kind of bringing out the theory behind why are we using certain notes. And it's mostly just for different textures or different moods, different flavorings, you know. So if I want something moving, I'm going to definitely use a Lydian sound. Right. And it's just automatically, it's got an awful lot of motion attached in there. If I want that kind of bluesy sound, and I'm going to use flat 7s. Now the reason why I call that 7 is from G, that F is 7 notes away. G, A, B, C, D, E, F. See, I had to go out 7 notes before I ever found that guy and stuff. So that's called the flat 7, or the Mixolydian. You know, change the G scale by lowering the 7th note. It's another way of looking at the same thing. And then sharpen the 4th note or the 11th note gives us the Lydian sound. So G, A, B, C. If I raise that 4th note, make it C sharp, then I end up with a Lydian sound. So that's the whole down deal of it, okay? All right, let's see you next.